Great. Excellent. All right. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Great to see all of you. We're really happy to be here to celebrate our state's new economic development plan, a plan that we're calling Team Massachusetts, Leading Future Generations. And I want to start with a really big thank you to our colleagues who led this important process. To begin with, of course, Secretary Yvonne Hao and her team in the Executive Office of Economic Development. Many, many thanks to you and to your team, including Undersecretaries Ashley Stoba for Economic Foundations, Leila D'Amelia for Consumer Affairs and Regulations, and Secretary Hao will be the first to tell you that this truly was a team effort, one that stretched across our entire administration, across the legislature, and we're grateful to our partners, and with significant input and guidance from businesses, education, labor, communities in every region of our great state. So it's a pleasure to be joined today by some of those very folks who participated in this, including, of course, our secretaries. We have our Secretary of Administration and Finance, Matt Gorkowitz, our Undersecretary of Housing and Livable Communities, Jennifer Maddox. We have our Climate Chief and Melissa Hoffer, our Secretary of Transportation, Monica Tibbetts-Nutt, our Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development, Lauren Jones. And I know that you and your teams worked hard to work directly with Secretary Hao and her team on the development of this plan, and certainly will be instrumental in the implementation of a plan, which is even more important, or as important as the development of the plan, is actually getting it done and moving forward. And we also want to welcome today and extend a particular thank you to our partners on the Economic Development Planning Council, whose input and guidance were critical to this plan. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see so many of you. We're joined, of course, by our Senate President, Karen Spilka. Also, of course, members of the legislature and Senator Barry Feingold and Representative Ann Margaret Ferrante and Representative Jerry Paracella. Really important leaders and chairs of communities that are going to be important to moving us ahead. Look, I truly believe that Massachusetts is the greatest state in the country. We're the greatest place to live, to work, to grow a family, to grow a business. And it's our job to keep it that way and build on that every single day. Let's build on what's working and fix what isn't. Let's make sure that everyone from every community in every region of the state has access to great jobs, to business opportunities, and to economic security. And it's our job to plan for the future in a rapidly changing world. That's what this plan does. And I'm really excited about the care that Secretary Hao and her team took to put together a plan that's strategic, that will make us more competitive, that will make life more affordable and equitable here in Massachusetts. It's a plan that builds on our many strengths, with strategies to lengthen the lead in sectors from life science to healthcare to robotics and AI. It identifies opportunities for global leadership, whether it's climate tech or culture and tourism. And it shows us how to make it easier for every kind of business in this state to start, to grow, and to thrive. It also addresses the importance of workforce. You cannot talk about economic development without talking about workforce. And with our world-class education system and our quality of life here, we should be, and we can be, a global talent magnet, right? We want people coming here. We want people who are, born here, staying here. We want to be the global talent magnet. And that is what this plan also looks to incorporate. The Leading Future Generations plan also identifies the importance of critical foundations. We talk about some of the critical foundations, connecting our economic strategy to our work in those areas, in housing, in transportation. We've proven in the past year that we can be bold, that we can be equitable, and we can win as a team when we work together here in Massachusetts. We've made big strides forward when it comes to affordability, through tax cuts that everyone will be saving money on later this spring. We've already gone after and won significant federal funding in federal competitions with other states. That's great. It shows you the power of Massachusetts when we come together and work together. money that we landed for medical innovation through ARPA-H, through funding for advanced manufacturing, chips and science, blue technology, and so much more. We also, through the budgeting process, together made historic and important investments in college access and education through Mass Reconnect and financial aid expansion. We've invested in partnerships and partnered with industry and new career pathways. And we've shown that this is a place all the while that will be about protecting freedoms, that will be about protecting rights, and so forth. So I think that we are positioned to win. This plan positions us to win as we look to get after it. And we're going to approach this economic development plan with the same tenacity that we approached its formation. And that's how that will begin, of course, with the filing of an economic development bill, which we look forward to working with the legislature on. And it's work that will continue every day as we lead into 2024 and a new year. So again, I just want to thank all the members of the Economic Development Planning Council for their leadership and for the time you took, because this was true investment of time and real hours in thinking through, what this was going to look like. This roadmap, not just a roadmap for the future, but a roadmap for right now. What we need to do as a state, where we need to go, and how we need to work together, all of us, to make sure that we're driving forward every day. And now I want to introduce our great teammate and partner in all of this, who knows a lot about economic development, having made such success in Salem. And that, of course, is our great Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. In local government, I was really fond of saying, plan the work, work the plan. So this is truly exciting. This is not just a document that's going to sit on a shelf. It's really action-oriented, and want to echo your thanks and appreciation both to our team, Secretary Hao, and all the folks in our economic development staff, along with the number of folks who volunteered from different business communities, different industries, showing up across the Commonwealth to help make sure this plan really represented the best of us. It's always great to be here with our legislative partners, who we know part of the action is the work we're going to do going forward. And as the governor said, this plan provides a framework to steer Massachusetts towards a more affordable, competitive, and equitable future for all of our residents. It puts us on a path to maximizing our strengths, and also addresses the real pain points that people experience every single day, whether due to opportunity gaps, the cost of living, skill mismatches, or sometimes just good old-fashioned red tape that we know exists and want to work hard to break down those barriers. Everybody experiences both the strengths and the challenges of our economy. And they do that differently depending upon the standpoint they occupy. I think this plan really recognizes that and strives to move us forward in a way that underscores the opportunities that we know exist for so many here in our Commonwealth. The value of the engagement process that the governor highlighted and certainly called for as part of this effort. We wanted to make sure this wasn't just a bunch of people in Boston who were deciding what might make sense for government moving forward. This plan was taken out on the road by Secretary Hao and all of our partners across the Commonwealth. The Economic Development Team hosted 9 sessions, 9 across the Commonwealth, and for the first time ever, a session all in Spanish for our Spanish speakers to make sure there was a role for their thoughts, their concerns, those opportunities to be executed as part of this plan. And I know Secretary Hao is going to talk a little bit more in detail about how this came about. And as a former local leader, it certainly gives me a great deal of satisfaction and encouragement to know that it's not just lip service when we put a document like this together. We want to know about the particular challenges, whether you're in a rural small town, a coastal community, a dense urban environment. There is something for all of Massachusetts to move forward, no matter where you live, what the zip code is, what the opportunities exist. And that's what this plan is about. I think the bottom line is the plan is built by Massachusetts and it's for Massachusetts. And seeing that in this document is really important. It's going to help us as we implement it as well across this Commonwealth, united, working together towards a common goal. I want to really appreciate all the folks who took time out of their day, many days, I should say, as part of the Economic Development Council to really strengthen this plan, and just grateful to have you here today to celebrate and making sure it gets signed and putting this dynamic plan into action. Wouldn't have been possible without our Secretary of Economic Development. So grateful to have Secretary Hao join us and share a little bit more about how this came about and where we think it can go.
Thank you so much, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. So grateful for all your inspiring leadership and all your support in putting this plan together. I'm also incredibly grateful for your faith in me. It was actually a year ago this week that I got a phone call on my cell phone from a number I didn't recognize, and turned out to be Maura Healey. And at first I thought it was a prank call or maybe a robo-dial thing, and it actually was Maura Healey. And very quickly we had lunch together, and then I got this job offer and got sworn in January, and it's been a tremendous honor and privilege. So my entire career up until now has been in the private sector, but it's truly an honor to be able to be in this role serving our state and thinking about economic development. So I joined in January, and one of the first things I learned was that in our state we are required to do a formal economic development plan. So I met with the governor, lieutenant governor in January and said, well, we have to do it. We can either kind of check the box and go through the motions, or we can actually really do it and try to compete and win. And I think you know these two folks, so you know what their answer was. So we actually did do the work, and I could not be more proud or more grateful for all of the work that's gone into this plan. So just to recognize a few people, in addition to what the governor and lieutenant governor said, first of all, the first step in doing this plan was putting together the council. So we asked extremely busy, talented people from all across the state to give up their time to be on this council. Many of them are here today. Please raise your hand if you're on the council. So we have all of these folks, including my cabinet colleagues. And this was not one of those things you just put your name on. We made them do real work, and they did the work. So we're so grateful for the council. In addition to that, I really want to thank our state legislative partners. We could not have done this without this incredible collaboration. President Spilka, Chair Parcella, Chair Feingold, and of course Vice Chair Fronte. So we are so lucky in our state in so many ways, and one of them is we have wicked smart legislators to work with. So thank you so much. And then the other thing is that one of the best surprises for me coming in this role is that realizing we have an awesome, talented team here in our state. I have worked at very prestigious places, Bain Capital and Amazon and McKinsey, and I would put our state economic development team at the top of that list in terms of talent. And so these folks work hard. Please raise your hand if you're on our team. And this was a marathon and a sprint, some all-nighters, lots and lots of weekends, and lots of debates, and a lot of laughter as well. So we are so lucky and so grateful for having all of you on our team. So we did the work. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we did 9 regional sessions open to the public. We had more than 1,300 people come to these sessions with their passion and their ideas and their input. We did 13 subsector meetings across higher education, financial services, advanced manufacturing, life sciences, small businesses, tourism, rural economy, and got all kinds of input from across our state. And then we analyzed a ton of data. And as we looked at all of these inputs, come up with a plan, we realized we are at a unique moment in time in this world. We have wars going on. We have the climate getting warmer than it's ever been, as Chief Hoffer reminds us all the time. We have many states going in different directions. We realize that this is a moment for Massachusetts to lead. We have always led, and we now need to continue to lead. And so that is how we came with this title, Team Massachusetts Leading Future Generations. We have so many strengths in our state, as the governor and lieutenant governor mentioned, but we need to do a better job and to lead for future generations. And so we're going to do that with this vision, this kind of North Star of what the governor and lieutenant governor mentioned. We are the best, and we want to continue to be the best place for every kind of human to start their careers, expand their careers, have amazing opportunities, and live their best lives. We want to be the best for every kind of company and organization to start here, scale here, and succeed here. And we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to do the Massachusetts way. We're going to lead by being 2 things at the same time. We're going to be an awesome, strong, innovation-driven economy that is solving big, important, mission-driven problems. We're going to solve climate change. We're going to cure disease. We're going to take care of each other. We're going to work on AI. And we are going to do that in a way that is human and humane, where we celebrate freedoms, where we let you love who you want to love, where we believe in science, we believe in safety. We're going to be both of these things at the same time, and that is the vision for this plan. So the plan has 3 main components. If you make it through all 66 pages, it has 3 main components. The first is around fundamentals, as the governor mentioned. To have any kind of economic growth, we need to continue to invest in fundamentals. So that starts with housing and transportation. So I have a ton of confidence in Secretary Augustus and Undersecretary Maddox and their team in housing and livable communities, and Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt in transportation, to really fix those fundamentals, and to continue to invest in infrastructure across all of our state, and especially in places like gateway cities and in rural communities, and to work on things like broadband and cell service and big complicated projects that we can work on together. So that's bucket 1, is fundamentals. Bucket 2 is really around talent, and we are so grateful to have Secretary Jones in our Workforce Skills Cabinet with Secretary Tutwiler and Secretary Walsh. Our state's economic success really starts with talent, and we have the best K through 12, and we have the world's best brains coming to study in our state. How do we retain that talent of all kinds? And so if you look at the plan, we have initiatives around college graduates and internships. We have plans focused on our international talent and keeping them here in Massachusetts. We have all kinds of ideas around mass talent for folks who don't want to go to college and want to have great, high-paying, high-growth careers. And we have also a lot of ideas around our trades and professions. And so that second bucket is all around talent and telling our story to retain our talent. And the third bucket is all around sectors. In our state, we are so lucky. We already are the world leaders in several sectors, and we don't want to just sit still and rest on our laurels. We want to lengthen that lead. So in places like life sciences and healthcare and community health and medical devices, that whole healthcare ecosystem, how can we leverage our ARPA-H win to continue to lengthen that lead? In places like advanced manufacturing and robotics, how do we leverage our chips and science wins to lengthen that lead and help the country? And in places like AI, how can we lengthen that lead and apply AI to places like financial services and education? So that is really around lengthening our lead in those sectors. And then we want to catalyze new sectors where we should be leading and we will lead. For example, in climate tech, where we are going to have ambitious targets that we're going to meet in fighting climate change, and we're going to create amazing companies and jobs coming out of that. So we want to lead in climate tech, and also in tourism. So we have always led. This Saturday, December 16th, will be the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. So a couple miles from here, a small team, Massachusetts, of colonists, they led by throwing some tea into the harbor, and that started a revolution. And so how do we make sure, with tourism and with the 250th celebrations coming up, we really own that and invest in culture and arts throughout the state? So we want to catalyze new leadership in those sectors. And as the governor mentioned, the lieutenant governor also, we want to make it easy for every sector and for every business. And so we're going to be launching an initiative called the Business Front Door to make it easy for all businesses to succeed in our state. So that's really the plan: fundamentals, talent, and sectors. But of course, this is just step one. It's a very, it's a pretty piece of paper. We're not going to be happy if it just sits on a desk somewhere. The real next step is to bring this to life for our state. So we're really excited to partner with our legislative folks and also with administration and finance to come back in the new year and to submit an economic development bill, which will then bring this to life for all of us. So we are very grateful and we're super excited. And we wanted to offer you a small gift, and I want to highlight Elaine Chow here. She represents so much of what's great about Team Massachusetts. Elaine she grew up in Oklahoma, came to our state for school, like so many of us, and then stayed here. And she wanted to start a business because she was concerned about the climate. And she realized, being Asian, that you go to all these restaurants and we are deforesting so many places in Asia to create chopsticks. You use them for your meal and you throw them away, and they go into landfill. So she started a business called Chop Value, which is converting those chopsticks, saving them from landfills, and making all kinds of furniture and everything else. So I encourage you to check out her website, but she's made us Team Massachusetts keychains, so we can all remember how important it is to be part of Team Massachusetts. So thank you, Elaine. So just to say thank you, we're so excited for this next phase. This is our moment. This is our time to lead. Let's do this, Team Massachusetts, and let's lead for future generations. Thank you, and I'll hand it off now to our president.
No, I'm going to introduce you.
Okay.
Look, you can feel Secretary Howe's energy and her drive, and that is something that we are fortunate to have in our state big time, and we're fortunate to have that energy and drive running through her secretariat. Huge kudos to the team and through all of our secretariats. And I know, there's a lot of energy in this room for good things to happen and to make happen here. And so really, really appreciate. I'm glad you took my call a year ago, and I'm very glad you came to join the team, Secretary Howe. This is really, really something that we're proud of. And we're proud to be able to work as we have on a lot of things, whether it was getting historic investments done in a budget, getting a tax package for the first time in over 20 years done, partnerships with the legislature. And to that end, I want to introduce our Senate President, Karen Spilka.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's really an honor to be here today to join my friends and colleagues in the Healey administration as we consider the continued economic vitality of our Commonwealth that we all love so much. Clearly, there's no place like home, and we all are here to build that up. I'd like to thank Governor Healey and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their vision, Secretary Hao and the EOED for their hard work. I know that there was a lot of time and energy put into this, the development of this plan. And it's great to see Chair Feingold and Reps Ferrante, Paracella. It's always exciting to be here with all of them. This is a really special moment for me. I was the Senate Chair of Economic Development and Emerging Technologies in 2010 when we were just coming out of the Great Recession, for some of you that may remember. And as chair, people would come up to me and say, okay, how are you going to create thousands of jobs? And honestly, internally, I don't know. I mean, I'm not certain what to do. So we as a committee took it on the road and went around the state and spoke with a lot of people. And one of the outcomes of that was the development of the Economic Development Reform Bill of 2010. And we started requiring the administration create an economic development plan. And we acknowledge that nothing that makes our state great, including the innovation, commitment to education at every level, desire to maintain a high quality of life for our residents, our steadfast dedication to protecting our rights, our freedoms, safety of our residents, and noted in this report, none of this is possible if we are not careful stewards of the Commonwealth's economic vitality, not just in the present day, but clearly for our future. All agencies, what we found was that you've heard the term government silos. At that point, there were very obvious silos in our government. In fact, there was a time period, and we were doing our research, that 2 or 3 state agencies were in a foreign country, not realizing the other one was there at the same time. That's how disjointed it was. Not only does there have to be a common plan, but we all need to be rowing together in the same direction. And that was the genesis of the creation of this plan. And so I applaud the Healey-Driscoll administration for the collaborative way that they put this plan together. It is important that we go to every corner of the state and really listen to residents and business owners' needs and what they want and what the regions of our states need and want. We know that there's some overlap, but there are some distinctions. Reading through this plan, I am reminded of all the wonderful things I love also about Massachusetts, and yet it is honest about the headwinds that we face and the pressing need to address the areas where we have been diligently tackling in the Senate as well, including focusing on making Massachusetts more affordable, competitive, and equitable. This plan presents a comprehensive and sweeping vision, and I've been in the legislature long enough to appreciate that the secret to success lies in the details. So I think I can speak for all of my colleagues in the Senate when I say that we really look forward to digging into the details, working closely with the administration, finding the areas of common cause where we can collaborate. And I'm heartened by the fact that the Healey-Driscoll administration, they have been so enthusiastic partners in some of the most important policy wins that we have seen for the people of Massachusetts, including, and you all know these, free community college, tuition equity, universal free school meals, meaningful investments in early education and care, and progressive tax relief. So I'm very optimistic as to what we can accomplish together in the area of economic development. including being loud about what makes Massachusetts such a truly amazing place to live, raise a family, start a business, and build a life here. In the meantime, the Senate will continue to tackle the issues of affordability, competitiveness, and equity within our agenda so that we can maintain all of these number ones included in this plan while continuing to expand economic opportunity to every corner and every community in our great state. Thank you very much. This is very exciting, and I'm looking forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senate President. We appreciate you and appreciate Chair Feingold and the work that your team has done on this and the work we're going to do, as we look forward. And to that end, I want to invite, representing the House, Vice Chair of the Council, Representative Ann Margaret Ferrante, who promises to talk more than just about Gloucester. Can you do that? All right. Rep. Ferrante.
Thank you. And the governor knows me well, and at times I think she can read my mind, because as I was sitting there shifting weight from foot to foot, it's not lost on me that you have two paintings in this room, and the one behind her desk is actually confirmed of Gloucester, okay? And the one behind all of you, my New Bedford colleagues and I debate often on whether that's the Gloucester or the New Bedford fishing industry. But nonetheless, it's the fishing industry. So if you look to your left, there's the fishing schooners that were the predominant harvesters of the cod, the sacred cod in this Commonwealth. And why was it so sacred? It was so sacred because it was the first commodity that was, if you want to argue in modern terms, traded for something else, right? If we had fish, then we had money in our pockets. And if you look at the second painting, it's also the fishing industry. And it goes to that heritage. And what Maura might not tell you, or our governor may not tell you, is that she's related to one of the greatest fishing captains in Gloucester folklore, Captain Morrissey. And Captain Morrissey, if he were here today, he'd be smiling on this governor and her cabinet and her crew. And he would be smiling for this reason. When a fishing captain goes to sea, the first thing he does is he gets on the boat, and none of the ropes are untied from the wharf until he makes his assessment. And he comes to it, and right away navigation pops up, weather pops up, crew pops up. And I'm happy to see the Secretary of A&F here, because we spend a lot of time together thinking about the economy and thinking about what lies ahead. And today's a great celebration of a great piece of work that's been collaborated on with the private sector, with the public sector, with the legislature, and everybody in between. But while we celebrate, let's reflect on the honesty that the Senate President mentioned. And that honesty is we're in a post-COVID economy, and there are challenges presented to us that are unprecedented, that we've never seen in history. And when we look at stagnant inflation, and we look at the fact that we pumped federally, we pumped historic amounts of money and funding into consumers' pockets to spend, and now that's dried up, we know that we're dealing in a tricky atmosphere of soft landings, of economic challenges, of an unknown federal policy of monetary supply. And the secretary, where's our secretary? Where's our first mate? Our first mate over here. She was so great and so broad, and the net that she casted out before even leaving the dock, she cast those nets. And she said, what is there and what do we need? What do we need to identify as our challenges? And how do we figure out how to remain steady in this post-COVID economy? Remain steady. The second piece of it was, How do we lengthen our lead, right? We're good at fishing. If we weren't good at fishing, there wouldn't be 2 paintings in this office that reflect it. We're good at it. And she came up as an extraordinary first mate, saying, Governor, let me take the helm here, because I'm going to take the helm and I'm going to deliver to you a charted course for the future of the Commonwealth. And the Senate President, congratulations to the work that the Senate's done on this. I can't help it, but the governor started, and I kind of have to mention this. Senator Feingold here is maybe a little bit of a summertime visitor, resident of Gloucester. So he knows something, too, about what it's like to get the boat to depart from the wharf. And so with the Senate's cooperation, right, because Senate President says it's in the details. It is in the details. But in addition to the details, it's into every member of the crew rowing and sailing in the same direction and setting those sails. And you brought me back to 2010 when I was your vice chair on the Economic Development Committee and the good work that we did in that financial crisis. And that gives me the confidence, Madam President, that our bodies are going to work together with Chair Palisala. I'm delivering remarks on behalf of him, too. He's from Beverly, right next door to Gloucester. He's not offended by any of the Gloucester commentary.
Good Harbor Beach.
Good Harbor Beach, right, Winga. But no, I look forward to the cooperation of our 2 bodies working together, and certainly, Secretary, with you and your crew here, looking forward to the actual economic development bill that allows us to put pen to paper, dollars to programs, so that we do extend those leads, and so that we bring forth to this Commonwealth the greatest harvest that we have seen economically in the longest time. Thank you, Madam Governor, for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Speaker in the House today. Thank you for your leadership. Lieutenant Governor's over in Salem again, stone's throw from Gloucester. Gloucester is the center of the universe.
Thank you.
To the Cabinet, and always it's a pleasure to see Secretary Gorsuch here, who guides and keeps a steady hand on all things financial. So thank you to all of you, and thank you for your time.
All right. Wow.
Ready to push off the dock?
You did not just say that. I love it. All right, but great. Secretary, let's have folks gather around our council. We want you to join. All of you, Madam President. Some of you have done this before. Act as if. All right. Our team, are you guys not? Yes, yes. Some of you may want to come over and come back here. Okay, excellent. All right. I mean, right? Yeah, right. You also do this one. Yeah, right. Yeah, there we go. All right, now we're gonna switch. I'll just do this right here. There we go. Sorry. Do you all know what we're signing? This is a very important submittal letter. Okay. It's the cover letter for this. Yay! All right, here we go. Team Massachusetts.
job, you guys.
Hi, everybody. We're happy. I'm happy to take a few questions. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, good. Okay. Great. Why don't we take a minute, folks? We're happy to take Chrissy. We're take a few questions on topic, or yeah. Okay. Great.
When exactly do you plan to file your eco-dev bill? The Secretary mentioned the new year, January, February, and do recent revenue trends give you a pause as you put that bill together?
Well, we hope to be able to file as soon as possible. Obviously, we've given a lot of thought and consideration to different parts we'd like to see included. And in terms of the revenue scenario right now, I mean, anything we do, we take account of the revenue scenario. But look, we're about moving forward. We're about moving forward with energy, with intentionality, and bringing home great results and opportunities for the state.
How much are you expecting the economic development bill and this plan to cost?
I'm not going to put a figure on that right now.
Governor, this plan is for the whole state, but is there anything specific to Western Massachusetts regarding East-West Rail, the rural farmlands?
Yeah, I'm going to let Secretary Hao speak to that. I will tell you, though, it has been a commitment, both from me and from the LG, that we're here as a team for all of Massachusetts, and that's why we took the step of appointing for the first time ever a Director of Rural Affairs. It's why we focused hard and spent a lot of time in Western Massachusetts and really around this entire great state of ours. And it's certainly why, this plan was put together with input and sessions in every region of the state, including, importantly, in Western Massachusetts. But I'll leave it to Secretary Hao. I'll also say, as we said at the outset, economic development, it means workforce, it means dealing with housing and with transportation. And certainly we're really proud that as a team we were able to chase and get that $100 million that we got from the Biden administration, the U.S. Department of Transportation, importantly to support infrastructure improvements that will help further where we want to go with West-East Rail. But Secretary Hao.
Okay. I would just echo the governor's comments. So we were very intentional in looking at this plan and looking at all regions of our state. And actually last week we were with our council members, Steve Ellis and Montague, in Turner's Falls, celebrating a lot of the economic growth there. And so if you look at the initiatives in the plan, fundamentals, talent, and sectors applies to all of our regions. And in particular, initiatives like the rural initiative that the governor mentioned is going to be very helpful for a lot of these areas in Western Massachusetts. And also for me personally, my first time in the state was in Western Massachusetts, so we care a lot about Western Massachusetts. We had our cabinet meeting last week there, and we care about all regions of our state as we think about this plan.
Thank you.
Secretary, can you tell us anything else that might be in the eco-dev bill? Any broad strokes you're looking at? Or Governor?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the plan, there are a bunch of ideas in here that will be hopefully translated and brought to life in the bill. You can see in the fundamental section, there are a bunch of ideas around continued investment in our successful programs like MassWorks and One Stop. And then if you look at the talent section, there's a lot of ideas there around things like Mass Talent. And the sector section, we mentioned, and the governor has said publicly, we want to reauthorize Life Sciences 3.0 and think much more holistically around that in terms of our whole healthcare ecosystem. And then also we want to be ambitious in areas like climate tech and also in tourism. And so there's a lot in the plan, and the goal hopefully is to work closely with our legislative partners to put that into the bill. Does that make sense? I don't know, Governor.
Terrific. No, that's great. Thank you.
I want to ask the Senate President, this is kind of an unprecedented ceremony, and would you say, in your experience, this is kind of an unprecedented process to develop this economic development bill? You ever worked so collaboratively with the governor on what the governor files?
Well, that was part of the economic development reform bill in 2010 to create a statewide economic development plan that's comprehensive and inclusive. And clearly, this administration, the Healey Driscoll, is interpreting it and spinning it to make it more for 2023, for this time period, and focusing on competitiveness, affordability, equity, and other things. But a lot of the nuts and bolts we found we included in the Economic Development Bill of 2010 to ensure that all areas of the state had input, and that we continue to grow. Clearly, the best way to grow our revenue is to grow our economy. And that's what I believe is the focus of this plan. So it's very exciting, and I look forward to working with the Healey Driscoll administration to grow our revenue.
And once it's filed, it will go through, the same legislative process as always. There's nothing special about that side of things.
Correct. I mean,
It's always special.
Madam President, do you see anything maybe missing from the plan that you would see your chamber adding throughout the legislative process?
Well, clearly, we'll take a better look at it. I think that this is, very inclusive and broad, and I know that there's always specifics that people come up with that want to add, and we'll work with the administration in those areas.
Thanks, everybody. And I do think it is significant because of the time we're in. And as Secretary Hao mentioned, this Saturday we're going to commemorate 250 years in the state. And you look around this room, and this room is special too. This room is historic in its own right. And I appreciate what Rep. Ferrante had to say, invoking some of the earliest industry in this state. And I think that we're at a time right now where we have the benefit of lived experience here in Massachusetts in finding ways to iterate and to evolve, through time, not just decades, but centuries here in Massachusetts. I'm looking at Chancellor Chen, from UMass Lowell, and you think about all the innovation there, and that's a story that you could tell across this great state. And one of the things that we're really excited about with this is that this is a plan that, draws on that history and draws on that experience and is finding ways, amidst the historic realm that we're in right now and the time that we're going to celebrate over the next year. The founding of this country right here in Massachusetts, that's where it all started. We're also finding ways to harness the now, harness the future, right, and really lead. And that, I think, is really exciting. It bodes well for Massachusetts. And, even in the midst of challenging times and certain uncertainties, we are strong. We are strong as a state, and we're going to be even stronger working together, Team Massachusetts, in the time ahead. So huge thanks to Secretary Hao, to the team, to the council members, who worked to do this part of it, and we look forward to moving ahead with the legislature and with residents and folks across the state to make good things happen. Thank you, everybody.
Can you give an update on the states that have overflow sites for overflow sites for migrants?
Let's see, what's the update there is that, we continue to find ways to house people. Again, I'm grateful to the number of providers who stepped forward, the number of communities that have stepped forward. It's been really heartwarming to see. We continue to be very focused on work authorizations. I think that through the clinic that we stood up and ran, we were able to process approximately 2,000 people who had come here for work authorization, which is going to be good for so many industries, getting people plugged in. And in terms of additional sites, additional capacity, we continue to work on that with more to come online shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.